A lot of people worry about 3D AI tools, and I did too. I started on an Amiga 1200 as a kid. Back then, nothing was automated, everything was manual, so when AI showed up, I had the same reaction as everyone else. This thing is going to replace me. But then I actually used it, and don't get me wrong, this is pretty amazing. But at the end of the day, it's still a point cloud generator, and that means it's just a tool. A really powerful tool, but still just a tool. And after running an open source model on my own rig, something changed. Within a few hours, my fear turned into excitement. I began to understand it. And I can honestly say, I haven't been this excited about a leap in computer graphics since ZBrush and Mudbox brought digital sculpting to the world decades ago. It turns out that converting AI props into usable props is an art form. And the irony is that bringing AI into your workflow actually keeps you modeling sharp, because AI still can't do proper edge loops or clean retopology very well, so you end up using more technique, not less. If you choose to bring this into your workflow, here are the key points you need to know, and a few of them might actually help you feel better about your craft, and where this all fits. Let me show you what I mean. Here's a 3D object I generated locally on my machine using Trellis. There's a link in the description showing how to set it up on your own rig. Unfortunately, it only works with NVIDIA cards for now. There are online options like Meshy, but they're not local or open source like the Trellis model. You might notice AI ads never show the mesh or the UVs. That's because they're chaotic. Broken seams, no real structure. That's where the 86 billion neuron model in your head does what the AI can't. First, I'll go into edit mode with the model selected, and in the select menu, I'll choose select by trait, then non-manifold. This selects all the holes in the mesh. They need to be stitched up so there aren't artifacts when I bake the surface to a material. Now I'll press M to merge and choose by distance. The default distance is usually small enough, but it's worth checking you're only welding the holes and not collapsing anything else. Next, I'll add shade smooth to the object. Once the cleanup is done, I can start retopologizing manually. After the first modeling pass, I usually subdivide the retopology mesh, then shrink wrap it to the trellis object. The next step is UV unwrapping the retopology mesh so the textures can be baked down. If you need a refresher on retopology or baking materials, there's a Blender Bitstream episode covering both subjects, which I recommend checking out. Once the UVs are done, I usually unplug the metal map during the bake because it interferes with how PBR base color is calculated. The only thing standing between you and a finished game or VFX ready prop is baking the textures. It's pretty straightforward, but there are a few things to remember. In this case, the metal map lives in the blue channel of the image trellis generated for roughness and metal. When you're ready to bake the metal map, plug that blue channel into roughness and bake roughness again as the metal map. With the materials baked, you now have an asset ready to be lit, rendered, or animated with ease. Now there are a few things to note about AI modeling. My rule of thumb is to use it for things that have a bit of an uneven surface, like this barrel or the chamber stick prop you saw earlier. These can become props instantly, but Trellis or any AI model being good at hard surface shapes doesn't replace clean modeling. For hard surfaces that need precision, I use the AI output as a shape reference and build proper geometry over it, which for a 3D modeler is already a powerful tool. The point is that these AI models still need you to direct them. They're just a really solid tool. I'm glad I've merged them into my 3D pipeline, because by the time I'm finishing a prop, I'm not sick of looking at it anymore. AI takes the boring parts out of the process. Also, the materials are usually just a solid starting point, and you'll still need to add to them. The chamber stick, for example, required a painted subsurface weight map so the candle wax looked dry. All the creative tweaking we enjoy as 3D artists is still part of the process. I hope this helped ease any fear around using AI in 3D, or at least made you more comfortable with it. In my experience, it doesn't feel like slop when it's still being artistically directed, and when it is genuinely speeding artists up without having to sacrifice quality. If you'd like to support the channel, leave a like, and subscribe for more Blender Bitstream. Thanks!